You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast.
You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. My name is Sean Wilkie, and along with my awesome co host, we interview the innovators in this space every week. Ivan, please go ahead and get us started.
Hey, I'm Zach, and I'm excited to introduce our new friend, Aaron Pugh. Aaron is the CEO of Vet Together, dedicated to transforming the veterinary industry by enhancing collaboration among practice owners and industry leaders. With 14 years of experience as the COO of Veterinary Growth Partners, Aaron has played a pivotal role in improving operational efficiency and financial health across numerous veterinary hospitals. Passionate about building connections, he views Vet Together as a platform for driving innovation in the industry. Aaron lives in Austin, Texas, with his family and two pets, Riley and Mickey. Aaron, welcome to the show. Thank you for finding the time.
Gentlemen, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Likewise. So tell us all about it. What is Vet Together? What's the big dream?
So, we were looking for a way on how we could disrupt the industry and find a conference that pulled people out of your traditional conference trade show style format where people would show up to a VMX and walk into a 200,000 square foot warehouse and not really have any real direction on where it is that they were trying to take their business, the vendors that they were trying to make connections with, and really create a conference that was focused around the business aspect of our industry and finding a way to get hospitals outside of their four walls where they could really focus and just put their attention on the needs that they need for their practices on everyday situations. I think one of the things that we run into all the time, particularly in practices, is that you get trapped inside those four walls and it's hard to find the time or the energy to figure out what you can do to improve your business and find ways to get some of that time back in your day to spend with your family on other things in life just outside of your business in general. So I'm really hoping that we're putting together a completely different style of format that allows hospitals to get outside and to be able to go experience this in a more comfortable situation that's more planned, thought out, where they actually have direct one-on-one meetings scheduled ahead of time with their vendors rather than just going into the gamut and trying to figure out who they're going to talk to and where everything is going to go.
It sounds fascinating, and it sounds similar to Vet Forum. But Vet Forum, I think, is for larger corporate customers to kind of have those same conversations with industry partners. So I guess a two-parter for you. What's different? Is it the target audience? And how did you come up with this idea?
So one, I think Vet Forum has a great business model. I love what they're trying to do with everything. We're definitely focused more on the industry from an independent hospital side. Not to say that we're not getting corporates involved as well with everything, but we're really trying to put an emphasis on the independent hospitals out there. I think that corporates oftentimes have avenues that independent hospitals don't have out there. They have access to vendors, they have more money to have those conversations with them, they have people that are designated just to having those conversations with vendors out there. Whereas on the independent hospital side, it really comes down to the owner of that hospital or their practice manager as far as who's creating those relationships and how they go. So I'm really focused on how we can make an impact for independent hospitals. So I think that's the big differentiator between what we're doing and what Vet Forum is doing on that side. Also, there's a much larger pool out there when it comes to the independent hospital side of everything. Corporate groups, there's several of them out there. And over the last 5 years, we've seen a bunch of them start to pop up and get out there. But the independent hospital side, I mean, there's what, 28, 30,000 independent hospitals out there. So it's just a much wider audience to go after. And personally, my heart and passion has always been towards the independent hospital side of everything. So trying to find a way to help bridge that gap for them and make a show and a conference that's really focused on their needs was a lot of the driving decision factor behind this. How we came about all of this was really through a conversation with some friends of mine we're having over dinner, and one of them was asking us about our business model, how our trade shows typically would go down, and so I was just explaining to them a standard VMX or anywhere else you might go, and most doctors are showing up and they're looking for CE credits, and yeah, they walk the trade show and go through everything else, and he was like, so what do you guys do to actually like generate one-on-one meetings so that business actually gets done between them. And we kind of looked at each other, my business partner and I, and we were like, I don't know if we really have a good solution for that. And as we've seen in the industry over the last 5 years, labor costs are going up, and we're seeing sales forces go down uh, with different vendors out there outside of the really big ones. And so, how do they get in front of these hospitals? How does these hospitals even have an opportunity to connect and learn about what it is that they're doing? And as I was stating earlier in the conversation, how do hospitals find the time to get out to meet all these new people just to see what's out there, right? And so, one of the things that we came up with was a hosted hospital solution to all of this. So we pay for the flights, we pay for the hotel room for the hospitals to attend. We make this as cost effective as it can possibly be on the hospital side to be able to get them outside of their four walls to be able to have these meetings with everybody. And then we set them up with 30 meetings with different vendors of their choice that they would like to meet with, that they feel like they could partner and have a solution that they can bring back and have an immediate impact into their hospital. So, where else can you get an opportunity to have a flight paid for, a hotel paid for, and then knock out, potentially a year's worth of meetings over the course of 2.5 days and have a great time doing it? So that was the why we came up with all of this, and that's kind of the target audience that we're looking to help in the industry.
That's really cool. So technically, then, so it's funded, I assume, by the vendors, right? So they're kind of paying for that. It's not out of your personal generosity. So your business model is
Well, this first year it might be out of my
this one is
generosity to some degree.
the first one is okay. Well, this first one is on Aaron. For anybody who wants to participate, jump on board. At the end of this show, there will be a code, and you just call him, and he'll invite you.
And then it
That's
rains money as well.
yeah, yeah. So it is. It's happening soon, right? I'm looking up at your website. So it's happening in November 18th to 20th. So
That's right.
yeah, and then so talk a little bit about the business model, please. So essentially, the goal is to have vendors pay for these to get in front of these hospital owners, and then you solicit the hospital owners. I would assume that's the main audience, not just individual vets, to basically visit and then be exposed to all of this information. And then somewhere in the mix, this all kind of sorts itself out as a business. Is that what kind of the way you're looking at it?
Yeah, that loosely defines the business model for sure, Ivan. That is definitely a good high overview on it all. My thought is this: one, I believe in creating wins across the board. I think if you're going to bring a new solution into this industry, there has to be a win on the hospital side, there needs to be a win on the vendor side, and then obviously there needs to be a win for the company that's trying to create whatever new business is about to take place. And by sharing some of the generous vendor sponsorships to pay for hospitals to attend this event, vendors get the opportunity to have hospitals that are, one, showing up engaged, wanting to have these conversations with them, which I think is one of the battles that they face in a typical trade show style format. Hospitals will walk around and you never know who's going to walk up. It could be a technician, it could be a front office staff, it could be somebody just looking to get the cute cat socks that you're offering at your booth table to be able to start that conversation with them, right? So, how can we condense that for vendors so that they're actually meeting face to face with decision makers and they don't have to spend that extra money, that extra time just trying to figure out how to get through that layer, that first barrier of entry on getting a hospital engaged with whatever product that they're distributing. So I firmly believe that if we bring the hospitals, the vendors are going to want to show up to be there to figure out how to make business go down. So I'm trying to figure out a way to create a win on the hospital side where, like I said, they have a hosted hospital situation. They actually have control over the meetings that they're going to be having with a lot of the vendors that are taking place. And at the same point, provide vendors with an opportunity to meet with decision makers right there on the spot that have the ability to make that decision and are already looking for the solution that they're there to provide for. So if you look at what it costs for a vendor to go out and have a meeting with 30 different hospitals, potentially all across the US, that adds up real quick. So if I can make that a cost effective situation for them where they get a great ROI and return on their investment, and at the same time, I get to host hospitals and have them fly in, have a great time, and get a lot of solutions of business done at the same time, then I think I created that three pillar win situation where everybody gets a win out of this.
Yeah, that makes tons of sense. Now, How do you do that, though? How do you select the right hospitals, the right decision makers that have the pot of money for the vendors and that are the right people to be there? That sounds like a lot of work.
That is a lot of work, and that's what we've been spending a ton of time through. So we vet every single hospital that we invite into our conference. It's not one where anybody can just show up and register to show up and get a free trip to Vegas and have a good time. We go through and we ask them 25 different questions about, what are some of the complications they're facing inside their practice, and that could be a number of things that come up, right? Whether they need new medical equipment, whether they're having challenges with their front office staff, whether they need help with education. There's a bunch of different ways to figure out what it is that hospitals need in a particular spot. And as they go through and they answer the survey and we figure out what it is that they need. We figure out whether or not they feel like it's going to be a good fit and we're going to have the right vendors there for them to meet with. And whenever we get that one-to-one connection between the two, we register them, we make them part of the event. It's a long process. It's not something that you can just do with the snap of a finger. There's no doubt about it. And as we're going through this, we're learning more and more, and we continue to hopefully evolve this as we do our next event next year.
It's amazing. And I mean, I think it's definitely time for new ways of attending conferences and things that are innovative. Has this come from another sector or industry that your friend told you about? That's my part A of my question. And then my part B is, what else do you have in store? Are you doing like the traditional CE course route? What else is happening at the conference?
So the first question was yes, this is actually done in many other industries. And I was shocked to find out just how many of them are actually doing this. And as I was talking to other vendors that deal with the human side of this, they're like, oh, we've been doing this for years on the human side where we go and do these reverse style trade shows. So it's not a new concept. It's just not one that we've really done well inside our industry. So yeah, not reinventing the wheel, just trying to find a way to bring it to our industry because I think it can have a meaningful impact. And what was your second question, Sean?
It was what else is happening at the conference? Do you have your standard CE tracks? Like you said, they're going to have a lot of fun. What's happening?
Yeah, definitely. So I do believe, and our conference is really focused around the business aspect of the industry. So our speakers are going to be talking about entrepreneurship, how to better run your business. And we are going to be offering CE credits that come about it. I do believe it's important to have industry leading speakers. Sean, I believe you're going to be speaking at our event as well, talking about AI. So what I want to continuously bring, innovative speakers that have topics that are relevant to what's going on in the industry right now. So we will definitely have that. We're going to have hosted cocktail reception hours as well, where people can get together, have a great time, have some drinks, hopefully continue their networking opportunities during those events as well.
One of the cool things that I think that I'm actually really, really excited to hear what you're doing. I've been on both sides of the equation. I was a vendor, when I was selling software, and I think that I would do it. And then I'm thinking about the hospital owner now that I'm building hospitals. I'm thinking that's a really cool thing to go to and have this focused time. So I think both are amazing. Is there something that will, besides the cocktail, where there could, different hospital owners meet on a similar problems and or talk with the vendors that bring solutions to it? I think that would be a really cool thing to kind of like get together because all of them. What I find is like when you own a hospital or run any sort of business, it's really you're very lonely in your problem set of problems if you're alone. But when you meet with the like-minded people that are in the same pool of problems, you can actually find solutions together. So is there anything like that?
So you are like reading into my future business plan on what I want to do with this conference and how we can really make this an impactful situation. So yeah, that's not happening on this first event. We pulled this together in about 5 months to get this whole thing thrown together, trying to really create a proof of concept that we knew this was something that the industry would receive well. And so far, we sold out the show. So I would say that it has been. But my goal for all of this, Ivan, is exactly that. How can we create an event that's really focused on the networking aspect of everything? How do we get break-off groups among like-minded veterinarians that have similar issues where they can meet on a regular or create, hopefully focus groups that can go on just outside of the event, right? Where they can continue to lean on each other. I think it can get really isolating in this industry and having other opportunities to reach out to talk to other people about your problems without having that fear of, oh, these people are going to take my clients, or this is going to happen. Like, I think breaking that fear wall down and opening that up is going to really change the industry from just a support perspective, right? And I think one of the biggest challenges we have in this industry is everybody's unbelievably passionate about it. And you have most of these hospital are also business owners, right? They're not just veterinarians out there working with our animals and doing all the amazing things they do, but they also have to run a business at the same time. And they also have to be a family person at the same time, right? And so, how do we create a network that allows them to have the support they need to succeed in that and still be able to be present on a day-to-day basis in other aspects of their life? It's, and I don't want to go into a dark place here, but you hear too many situations of another DVM committing suicide, or another business that shuts down for whatever reason that particularly was. And most of it comes down to the fact that they spend so much of their energy and time into this passion and this love of this industry, that they also don't have the time that they're putting into themselves, into their family, into the things that we need in order to rejuvenate ourselves, to go back into the work the next day and be on top of our game, right? And so, the more networking opportunities, the more outlets we have for veterinarians and business owners to be able to have these conversations on a regular basis, I think we're going to hopefully see a better success rate and a higher quality of life at the end of the day, right?
That's amazing. Yeah, and it sounds like a really worthwhile endeavor you guys are about to embark on. When you think out 5 years, what's this conference look like in 5 years?
Oh man, I'm going to get myself in trouble here, and hopefully
Don't worry, only like 1 million people listen to this show. It's not a big deal.
Uh, I would love for this to become a industry standard out there within our industry. I'd love for this event to be the event that hospitals and vendors alike go to and know that they're going to have one, an amazing event that takes place, an opportunity to network with several of their peers, other vendors, and a place where business gets done and a lot of education takes place. And at the end of the day, has a really good time doing it.
It's amazing. So, last question from me. If there's somebody out there that's listening and they're like, geez, I've got this big bag of money that I got to spend. I'm looking at Ivan on new equipment or new software or whatever, and I really want to go to this conference. Is there any way you can squeeze them in this year? Or if I'm a vendor and I really want to be there and I got all kinds of money to pay for flights and hotels, like where are we at?
I we have sold out the show, but I would find a way to squeeze in a couple of people if it was something that they really were passionate and wanted to find a way to get in. So if they go to our website at www.together.vet, they can go in there, they can send us an email through that. The registration is probably still open. I need to actually get that shut down on my side of everything, but we'll go through there. They can go through a quick vetting process. We are actually opening up our portal on Monday. So, Sean, if you haven't gone through and filled out your company information, go in there and fill it out so everybody can see what's going on. And on Monday, people are going to start making selections for their meetings that are going to take place. So, long winded answer there, but yeah, I will find a way to help people out if they're really interested and passionate about being a part of this one.
And how many total you were aiming for this year?
We were aiming for 100 hosted hospitals to be there for this first event, and we were targeting around 70 to 75 vendors to
Oh
attend.
wow.
And unfortunately, we probably will have a couple of slots that opened up just because of the hurricane that just recently hit and the next one that's coming right now. So I suspect some of the hospitals over on that side probably have bigger things that they're going to have to attend to with the flooding and the damage that's going to be done. So I bet you we get 5 or 6 open slots that will come available that would be able to fill in with hopefully your listeners.
Okay, well, hopefully not too many, and people are not suffering from the consequences of that
Oh
hurricane.
my goodness. It just hits you so fast, right? It's like, we get so caught up in our business and all of a sudden something like this happens and it's a wake up call, right? And it lets you know, man, there's life that needs to be lived every single day because you never know what's going to happen, what's going to shake up, what's happening in your business world.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got a couple of questions for you guys, if you don't mind.
Okay. Shoot.
So, what got you guys? So, you guys are both in the industry and have been in this industry for a while. One was what got you guys into the podcast? Like, what gave you the drive to say, man, we want to start talking and getting this out to everybody else? And then, my second part to that question was, how did you guys like? Was it a specific interview that really blew up that got you guys, all the people that are listening? Or was it a slow build that got you to that moment? I'm real curious to learn how you guys got into this and how it exploded.
Sean, do you want to answer that?
I was pointing at you. So how do we get into it? I went to Ivan. I said, I think we should start a podcast. And he said, what's a podcast? And that was how we begun. And then what made it blow up? I think COVID. I think we were all sitting at home, not a lot to do. And we started maybe 6 months before COVID. And then just stickability. I mean, we're almost 6 years into this thing now. And so just doing it every week, talking to really bright people, making ourselves look smart by interviewing people like yourself has worked out really well. And it's just somehow, some way, we've managed to do an episode every week for all those years.
What was the worst interview you had?
That's you, Ivan. That's for you.
We don't do that. No, but I have answers for your original questions. So Sean always tells this story. I did not ask what the podcast is, so he always tells this. This is not true. It sounds funny, so I'll give you that, Sean. The but it was, yeah, we were kind of doing different things after exits, both of us, and we're like, hey, why don't we do this? And it was Sean's idea, so I'll give him that. And the reason why it stuck around, and I think that people will start listening a lot of it, is just my good looks. That's my answer. But it's not.
you are a handsome looking guy. There's no
But
doubt
I,
about
I
it.
think that the
And we
two
don't release any of the video for our podcast, so it's really easy to keep it.
that's what kept everybody listening, because we don't show our faces. No, but I think it is the discipline of showing up. I think once you continue, and I think it's the interesting guests and the perpetuity of topics. And our perpetuity is what we're about to ask you, which will kind of bring us to the end here. Is we always ask who should we invite next time, and there's always new amazing people that start in the industry, things like you do, and then they always have friends that are doing some amazing things. So that's what I think kept it going, is perpetuity of invitation to the next great person in our industry.
Love it.
With that, we have the two questions that we ask. One of them is there a podcast, YouTube video, TED Talk, or anything else that excited you or inspired you recently that you would recommend to our listeners?
I'm gonna give two if that's okay.
Yeah, you seem
So
like a guy that breaks all the rules, so you're welcome here. Go ahead.
wonderful. So this one is actually it's been around for a while, but near and dear to my heart. Admiral William McRaven from the commencement speech for Texas in 2014. If you ever need a pick me up, a way where you need to go, I can bust through any wall right now. Listen to that. It gives you just a ton of motivation to go out there and take on the world. It's fantastic. And then the other one, and this is a really interesting one. I don't know, it's from another podcast from the Daily, and they interviewed Jelly Roll. And I don't know if you guys know who Jelly Roll is. He's a great artist that's out there right now that's super hot. But listening to his life story, going through the challenges that he went through with addictions and being in jail and all this other stuff. But that was aired on August 17th. So I recommend to everybody out there, go listen to that. It's really heartfelt. It'll bring some tears to you, but it'll also give you a great sense of motivation to go out there and realize no matter how big our problems are, we can overcome them.
That's awesome, Aaron. And the last question for you is another innovator that you think we should have on the show from the industry.
Well, a good friend of mine, Jason Troutwine, would be amazing for you guys to get on this podcast. He's been an innovator in this industry for the last 20 years. I think he'd be fantastic. And then I'm going to throw out two books as well, if that's all right, since we're breaking rules right now. One of them, and this is how I've run all of my businesses. So for all the independent hospitals out there, do yourself a favor, get the book Traction from Gino Wickman. It's a great way for you to run a small business where it provides you with how to run meetings, how to create your missions, visions, and values. It just gives an outline for you to make life a little bit easier when it comes to trying to run a business. And the second one, and I recommend getting the audio version of this, and it's been around for a little bit, but it's Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. It will make you laugh. It will make you cry. He tells some of the greatest stories. But one of the things that I love most about it is the title of the book, Green Lights, is really how he views life in general and how you can take a red light where most people would see a red light and turn that into a green light for yourself. And it's just about finding ways and opportunities to overcome obstacles and really use them as strengths instead of viewing them as a weakness.
Thank you so much for listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. If you want to hear about our new episodes, please follow us on any social media channel. Also, you can check out our website at veterinaryinnovationpodcast.com. See you next week.